The scream cut through the park like glass shattering. "Stop! Leave her alone!" Mark turned just in time to see one little girl fall backward into the dirt, her twin stumbling beside her as a much older boy towered over them, his face twisted with anger. The boy's fist was raised again. Mark didn't think. He dropped his coffee, vaulted off the bench, and sprinted. "Hey!" he shouted, voice sharp enough to freeze the air. The bully spun around, startled. Mark planted himself between the boy and the twins, his body a wall, his eyes locked and unblinking. "That's enough," Mark said, low and controlled. "You step back, now." The boy hesitated, eyes flicking to the twins' scraped knees, then to Mark's clenched jaw. He scoffed, muttered something under his breath, and bolted toward the far end of the park. Mark exhaled slowly, adrenaline still buzzing through him. He turned to the girls. They were identical, about 7 years old, blonde hair pulled into uneven ponytails, cheeks flushed with fear. One of them was shaking so hard her teeth rattled. "You're okay," Mark said gently, kneeling to their level. "He's gone." One twin burst into tears. The other tried to be brave, wiping her sister's face with a trembling hand. That was when Mark heard a woman's voice behind him. "Oh my God." He turned. The woman was running toward them, phone forgotten in her hand, panic etched across her face. She dropped to her knees and pulled the girls into her arms, checking them frantically. "Are you hurt? Did he touch you? I was gone 2 minutes." "They're okay," Mark said quickly. "Just shaken." The woman looked up at him, eyes wet. "You stopped him?" "Yes." She swallowed hard. "Thank you." Mark nodded, already starting to step back. "Just keep an eye on them." He turned away, heart still pounding. He didn't see the way the woman stared after him, studying his face like she was trying to place him. And he had no idea that in less than 24 hours, his entire life would collide with hers again, inside a glass-walled boardroom under fluorescent lights, with his job hanging by a thread. That was the moment everything truly began. Mark's daughter, Lily, was still on the swings when he returned. "Dad, you ran really fast," she said, kicking her legs. "Had to," I forced a smile. "You okay?" She nodded. Why were those girls crying? Someone was being mean, and they needed help. Lily frowned. "Did you help them?" "Yes." She smiled, proud. "Good." Mark swallowed the lump in his throat and pushed her gently higher into the air. Being a single dad meant moments like that mattered more than anything else. Lily had lost her mother when she was 3, cancer, fast and merciless. Since then, it had just been the two of them. No backup, no safety net. Mark worked as a mid-level operations manager at a tech logistics company. Long hours, decent pay, zero room for mistakes. Which made what happened the next morning feel like a cruel joke. "Mark Reynolds," HR said flatly, hands folded on the table. "Do you know why you're here?" Mark's stomach tightened. "No." The conference room felt too bright, too quiet. A projector hummed softly in the background. "You were involved in an altercation yesterday afternoon," the HR manager continued, "at Riverside Park." Mark blinked. "An altercation?" "A physical confrontation with a minor," she clarified. Mark's blood ran cold. That's not what happened. The door opened, and the room changed. The woman from the park walked in. Hair pulled into a sleek bun, tailored navy suit, calm, commanding posture. The same eyes, but now sharp, assessing. Mark's breath caught. "Good morning," she said evenly. "I'm Evelyn Carter." HR straightened instantly. "Miss Carter, we didn't expect—" "I asked to be here," Evelyn said, "because this involves you." Mark stood. "You're the twins' mother." "Yes." Silence pressed in. HR cleared her throat. "Ms. Carter is our CEO." The words hit Mark like a physical blow. CEO. His vision narrowed, his hands clenched at his sides. "I want to hear his version," Evelyn said, "before we make any decisions." Mark swallowed. "A boy was hitting your daughters," he said quietly. "I stepped in. I never touched him. I told him to leave." Evelyn watched him closely. "My daughters said the same thing." HR stiffened. "But company policy—" Evelyn raised her hand. "Policy doesn't cover playgrounds." She leaned back slightly. "What concerns me is that security received an anonymous complaint claiming Mr. Reynolds aggressively threatened a child." Mark's heart sank. "That's not—" "I know," Evelyn said, "because my daughters described you as the man who stood in front of us so we wouldn't get hurt." The room went still. "That could have ended badly for you," Evelyn continued. "You didn't know who I was or who they were." "No," Mark said. "I just knew they were scared." Evelyn held his gaze for a long moment. "That's why I wanted to be here," she said. HR shifted uncomfortably. "So, what's your recommendation?" Evelyn didn't hesitate. "That we drop this entirely." Mark exhaled, relief flooding him. "And," Evelyn added, "that we talk." They met later that afternoon, not as CEO and employee, but as two exhausted parents sitting across from each other in a quiet office. "My daughters have been dealing with bullying for months," Evelyn said softly. "I didn't know how bad it had gotten." Mark nodded. "Kids can be cruel." "You didn't have to step in," she said. "Most people look away." Mark thought of Lily on the swings. "I couldn't." Evelyn studied him. "You're a single parent." "Yes. So am I, in a way." He looked up, surprised. "Their father left when they were 5, Evelyn said. "I buried myself in work, told myself I was providing. Yesterday made me realize what I've been missing." Mark said nothing. "You could have sued us, or demanded recognition. Instead, you tried to walk away." Mark shrugged. "It wasn't about me." Evelyn smiled faintly. "That's what scares me, and impresses me." She leaned forward. "I want you to help me fix something." "Fix what?" "Our culture," she said. "The way we ignore quiet courage." Mark frowned. "I'm just an operations manager." "Not anymore," Evelyn replied. The announcement sent shockwaves through the company. Mark Reynolds was promoted to Director of Community Safety and Internal Ethics, a newly created role, reporting directly to the CEO. Whispers followed him down hallways, some supportive, some suspicious. He only got it because she's favoring him. Mark kept his head down. At home, Lily beamed. "You stopped a bad guy and got promoted?" Mark laughed. "Something like that." Weeks passed. Policies changed. Anti-bullying initiatives expanded. Partnerships formed with local schools and parks. And slowly, Mark realized something unsettling. Evelyn wasn't just trusting him, she was leaning on him. Late-night strategy calls turned into longer conversations. Shared coffee breaks became moments of quiet understanding. Both of them were careful, guarded, until one evening when Evelyn called him, not as her boss. "They threatened my daughters again," she said, voice tight. "Online, anonymous." Mark didn't hesitate. "I'm coming." He found her sitting on the floor of her office, twins sleeping on the couch behind her. "They were so brave today, just like yesterday." Mark sat beside her. "They learned it from you." Evelyn shook her head. "They learned it from watching someone stand up for them." She looked at him then, really looked at him. "You changed their story," she said, "and mine." Mark felt his chest tighten. "I didn't mean to." "I know," Evelyn said. "That's why it matters." Months later, Mark watched Lily play with the twins at the same park. Laughter replaced fear. Sunlight replaced shadows. Evelyn stood beside him. "Funny how one moment can split a life in two." Mark nodded. "Before and after." She smiled softly. "Thank you for not walking away." Mark watched the girls run. "I don't think I could anymore." And in that quiet, ordinary moment, he understood something simple and powerful. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is step in without knowing who's watching. And sometimes Kindness doesn't just save a moment, it rewrites a future.